Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will discuss about respiratory system. So what is respiratory system? Respiratory system, also known as respiratory apparatus, it is a biological system and it consists of different types of organs. You can see here nose and nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, two bronchi, bronchioles and two lungs. So one by one we will discuss all these parts. So you can see here in this diagram. So presence of different parts. So first we will discuss of nose and nasal cavity. So nose and nasal cavity, uh, this is the main route of the air to be entered. This is the main route. So it divided into two cavities, that is called septum. Clear? And anterior consists hyaline cartilage. So the respiratory function of nose are warming, filtering and cleaning and humidification. Okay, and it is the first of the respiratory passes. So this nose is the first organ of respiratory system. Now the function of respiratory system. So again, it helps to filter the air, produce sound, contained as receptors for smell, and it also regulates pH. So external respiration. So external respiration, air from outside environment enter the nose or mouth during inspiration, or it is called inhalation. Okay. So nose are also called external nares and it is divided into two halves by the nasal septum. Okay, and it contains the uh, phrasal sinuses, okay, where air is warmed, and it consists of different types of nares, like internal nares and external. Internal means opening of exterior and external means opening to pharynx, and it also provide air way for respiration. So first we will discuss about pharynx. So pharynx, common space used by both the respiratory and digestive system, that is called pharynx. It commonly called the throat. Okay, and it's a common pathway for both air and food. So pharynx is the common pathway for air and food. And it is divided into three sections: nasopharynx, oropharynx and laryngopharynx. So nasopharynx contains the pharyngeal tonsils or uh, oropharynx, that is back portion of mouth, that contains the palatine tonsil, and laryngopharynx where the respiratory tract divides. Okay. So pharynx, what is pharynx? It's a parts of throat that is behind the mouth and nasal cavity and above the esophagus and the larynx. Okay, and its length is 12 to 14 centimeter and its position is base of the skull. So it's the where is the position of pharynx? That is the base of the skull. So this is the structure. You can see here different parts. For descriptive purposes, the pharynx is divided into three. We have discussed that it is divided into three parts: nasopharynx, oropharynx and laryngopharynx. Okay. So this is the structure. You can see here where the naso, oro and hypopharynx are present. You can see here in this diagram. So next is structure. So pharynx is composed three layers, that is mucous membrane lining, fibrous tissues and smooth muscles. And blood supplies through facial artery and facial vein. And nerves supply vagus nerves and glossopharyngeal nerves. Okay, next is larynx. So larynx is also known as boy's box. Larynx is known as boy's box. You can see here, this is the larynx, that is known as the boy's box. So position, where is the position? It is from the root of the tongue and it lie in front of the laryngopharynx at the level of third, fourth, fifth and sixth cervical vertebra. So this is the position of larynx. So you can see here in this picture. Okay, this is the diagram of respiratory system. So next is respiratory. Larynx is composed of several irregular shaped cartilages. The main cartilage, thyroid, cricoid and arytenoid cartilages. Okay. So Next, first we will discuss about arytenoid cartilages. These are two roughly pyramid-shaped hyaline cartilages. The epiglottis is a leaf-shaped fibroelastic cartilage. Epiglottis is like a leaf shape. Okay. Blood and nerves supply through superior and inferior larynx arteries, thyroid veins, and superior laryngeal nerves. So this is the diagram you can see here. Presence of epiglottis, thyroid cartilage. Okay, different types of cartilages are present here. Now the function is that is production of sound. So what is the function of a larynx? That is known as voice. So obviously its main function is to production of sound, speech. Okay. Now the trachea is a flexible tube that is known as windpipe. So this is the trachea you can see here in this diagram. This is trachea and it is also known as windpipe. Clear? And it is present just below the larynx. Okay. So trachea also known as windpipe, and it is divided into right and left primary bronchi, and length is 10 to 11 centimeter. Okay, so you can see here in this diagram. So this is the position of trachea, which is clearly visible in this diagram. Clear? So also thyroid cartilage and different types of cartilage are also present here. Now the structure, it composed of 3 layers of tissue, fibrous and elastic tissue, smooth muscle, ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay, and it is of she-shaped. Now the function, it support and patency, mucociliary escalator, cough reflex, warming, humidifying and filtering. So this helps to humidifying, coughing and relaxing. So this is the structure of lungs you can see here. So different types of lobes and bronchi are present here. Now how the lungs work. So air enters your lungs through a system of pipe that is called bronchi, and alveoli and capillaries also help to exchange the gases which takes place the air. So this is means to say that bronchi play a very major role for the filtering of the air. Okay, and a branch of pulmonary vein is also responsible for that. So breathing, lungs are sealed in the pleural membrane inside the chest cavity, and at the bottom of the cavity it is a large flat muscles. Okay, and during inhalation diaphragm contracts. So you know that during the inhalation diaphragm contracts and rib case rises up and expand the volume of the chest cavity. Often exhaling is a passive event. You know that the exhalation is a passive event. Okay, and air is pushed out of the lungs. So in exhalation, air is pushed out of the lungs. So now the bronchi and bronchioles. So two primary bronchi when the trachea divided about the. So first you can see here in this diagram. So secondary bronchi, left primary bronchus. So you can see here the positions of different bronchi and bronchus. Okay, so structure, bronchi are composed of the same issues and tracheids. So you can see here division of bronchi, then bronchioles. So this is the structure. In the structure you can clearly see the presence of bronchioles and bronchi. So this is the normal bronchioles. Now the ciliated columnar mucous membrane changes gradually to non-ciliated cuboidal shaped cells in the disc. So blood supply, bronchial arteries. So bronchial arteries are responsible for blood supply, venous drainage, bronchial veins responsible for that, nerve supply, vagus nerves are responsible for that. So function is also first is control of air entry, second warming and humidifying, support and patency which we have discussed. So next is respiratory bronchioles and alveoli. So each lobule is supplied with air by a terminal bronchi and about 150 million alveoli in the adult lung. So adult lung having the 150 million bronchi. You can see here in this picture. This is the these are the alveoli and this is the terminal bronchioles. Okay, so function external respiration and defense against microbes and exchange of gases. So this is the these are the functions of the these bronchi, that it is helps in external respiration also. So lungs, that is, you know that the lungs are two types of lungs are present, and it's a shape of cone and weight is 600 to 700 grams. Okay, and surfaces of apex, a base, costal surface and medial surface. So these are the surfaces. Okay, that apex is the rounded and rounded in shape. So this is the lungs, you can see here. These are the lungs. This is the position of lungs. So right lung and left lung. So this is the picture of right and left lung. You can see here. So this is the picture of a non-smoker lungs and a cigarette smoker lungs. You can see here how the impact of how it affects cigarette effects on our lungs. You can see here. So next is pleura. Pleura consists of a closed sac of serous membrane, and it forms two layers, visceral and parietal pleura. Okay, so visceral pleura is adherent to the lung, and parietal pleura is adherent to the inside of the chest wall and the thoracic surface of the diaphragm. So the pleural cavity, the two layers of pleura are separated by a thin film of serous fluid. Okay, and it preventing friction. Serous fluid is secreted by the epithelial cells of the membrane. So this is the pleural cavity. So you can see here in this diagram, right and left lung. So presence of parietal and visceral pleura. So you can see here this diagram. So the right lung has more lobes and segments than the left. It is divided into three lobes: upper, superior lobe, middle, lower, and or inferior lobe. Okay, it is divided into different types of lobes. Clear? And it consists of two: one oblique fissure and second is one horizontal fissure. Next is left lung. Left lung is divided into two lobes: upper lobe and lower lobe, and they separated by oblique fissures. Clear? Left lung does not have a middle lobe. Okay, left lung that does not have middle lobe. So now the blood supply. So blood supply, bronchial artery is responsible for that. Pulmonary capillaries, where exchange of oxygen, carbon dioxide takes place. Venous drainage, bronchial vein and nerve supply, vagus nerves. So respiration, the term respiration means exchange of gases between body cells and the environment. So this is a definition of respiration. Okay, and exchange of gases that takes place through external and internal respiration. So two types of respiration, that is external and internal, which we have discussed. So breathing supply oxygen to the alveoli and eliminates carbon dioxide. So breathing helps to supply oxygen to the alveoli, and it also eliminates carbon dioxide. Okay, so this is the diagram. You can see here presence of external intercostal and innermost intercostal. So this is the innermost intercostal. So diaphragm, what is a diaphragm? It is a dome shaped structure, and it separates thoracic and abdominal cavities. So this is a diagram, that is a dome shaped structure. So you can see here in this picture, so the lower side of the lung that is present, there is a presence of diaphragm. Cycle of breathing. So average respiratory rate is about 12 to 15 minutes, and it consists of three phases: inspiration, expiration and pause. So cycle of respiration consists of three phases. First is inspiration, that is the inhalation of the air. Okay, and the capacity of thoracic cavity is increased. Okay, and inspiration is simply, what is inspiration? That is simply inhale of the air, and it is the active process, and it will last about 2 seconds. And expiration is exhalation of the air, and it is a passive process. Okay, so the lung volume and capacity, respiratory cycles 15 minutes, and tidal volume, amount of air passing into and out of the lungs, that is known as tidal volume, and it is about 500 ml in tidal volume. And the diffusion of gases, external respiration. Respiration refers to the gas exchange across the respiratory membrane in the lungs. Clear? So internal respiration that helps to gas exchange across the respiratory membrane in the metabolizing tissues like your skeletal muscles. For example, blood arriving at the tissue has been cleansed of its carbon dioxide and saturated with oxygen. Next is transport of oxygen in the bloodstream. So how the transport of blood occur? That due to oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay, oxygen is carried in the blood in as combination with the hemoglobin as oxyhemoglobin, and carbon dioxide it is excreted by lungs and transported by combined with hemoglobin as carbaminohemoglobin. And control of respiration, the respiratory center that is medulla oblongata. Okay, so now the disorders of respiratory tract. First is asthma. So asthma is a disorder which belongs to respiratory tract. It is a common long term inflammatory disease of airways. And next is emphysema. So emphysema is a lung condition that causes shortness of the breath. Okay, this is another disease of lungs. And next is pneumonia. So pneumonia is air inflammatory condition of lung affecting primarily the small air sac known as alveoli. So this is another disease of lungs that affects the alveoli. And next is lung abscess. So lung abscess is a type of leukefactive necrosis of the lung tissue and formation of two cavities. So you can see here. Next is lung collapse. Lung collapse occurs when air escapes from the lung and air then fills the space outside of the lung between lung and the chest wall. So these are some diseases of respiratory system. So this is all about your respiratory system. So hope you like this video. I have added complete detail of respiratory system in this video. So this will help for your exam. See you in the next video.